Hello, welcome back to the Unknown Edge. Today, we're going to show you a knife and we're going to show you a whiskey. We're going to call it the Whiskey Edge. Edge, whatever. I don't know. We're workshopping that name still. But we are going to show you the Smith& Wesson first response. Got plenty of fun little gizmos and gadgets on it. And we're going to talk about Michter's small batch bourbon. I'm going to drink it straight out of the bottle. Because why not? All you snobs out there, they're going to tell me to put it in a snifter glass and all that. I've done it before, okay? I have loads of experience in the liquor industry. Don't need you telling me anything. Now, oof, that's good. I could go through all the proprietary information, like this is batch number 24L3766, but no one needs to hear that. This is a 750 ml bottle, so it's your regular standard size bottle. Um, the small batch US bourbon one is aged around 8 years. Smelling it, you'll get some oaky, some fruitiness. When you taste it, it's got kind of like a dried fruitiness and an oaky, smoky taste. The fruitiness overpowers that smoky taste, though. It's just like a subtle hint on the finish there. Um, it's actually really good for what it's price pointed at, which is around $45. Um, it's 45.7 alcohol, which is 91.4 proof. And honestly, for your regular go-to, bring out for your friends or whatever, it's not a bad bourbon. Not a bad bourbon. I don't really know if we're gonna make it into a whole segment or not. Maybe I will, maybe or not. Whiskey Edge. Some background on that. I do have about 5.5 years in the liquor industry, 2.5 of which I was a manager and did tons of tastings, tons of orderings, and lots of classes that had to deal with alcohol in general. But I mainly focused on whiskey, specifically bourbon. It just so happened it was the one I liked. It was the one I always went for. But anyways, back to the knife because that is what Unknown Edge is all about. Let's dive deep. Let's get into this. Let's take a look, huh? All right, so I will first off say my honest opinion on Smith& Wesson when it comes to knives. They are not what you would call in the area of knife collectors as like holy grails or something that's sought out after whatsoever. Smith& Wesson does a much better job when it comes to making guns than they do knives. However, I will say this is my honest opinion. I was pleasantly surprised with the Smith& Wesson first response. Um, it's just it's a little gimmicky, but it's honestly really really cool. So before I get into all the specifications on it, I want to show you a little bit about this knife. Um, when it closes, it does have a lock. That way, it can't be deployed, and its deploy is by this little lever. Now, most flippers and most knives that have assisted opening have a lever like that, but when you push that down, that is attached to the blade and it folds in with it. Pushing this is more like a button switch, like a slide, like it just pushes downwards, and it honestly feels more like an automatic when I deploy it rather than a assisted opener. This is Smith& Wesson's, they call it magic assisted opening mechanism, M.A.GI, C blah blah blah. I don't know what it exactly stands for in their acronym there, but that is their magic assisted opener. But I will say when I first got my hands on this and I clicked that, I was pleasantly surprised on how satisfying that was to actually deploy. Very, very cool. Now we're going to close that up and we're going to take the lock in and we're going to come back here. In the very beginning, I showed you this and I just kind of popped it open, but I didn't really explain what that is. And it's pretty obvious. That is a window puncher, and it's a window puncher that is powered by a spring. So you go put it up to the weak spot on the corner of a window and do, the side windows, passenger seat, driver seat, back rear seat. Don't do front windshield and the rear windshield. Those are a lot tougher and they do not break the same even with the glass breaker. But anyways, We'll maybe get into that story some other time. You put it up there, push this lever up, and that spring actuates the window puncher. You pull it back down and reload it up, and it's ready to go. So all in all, I mean, there's a lot going on here that makes it kind of unique in its own way. Now the steel is just stainless steel, powder coated in black. It's double hollow ground serrated. It's got a recurve tanto blade where the recurve section is serrated. Handle is made out of black nylon fiber. Like I mentioned before, it has a spring-loaded glass puncher. It's unique MAGIC assisted opening system by Smith and Wesson. All in all, the blade is a 3.4 inch and overall length is 8.2 inches. You cannot reverse the pocket clip, so it is the way it is, and it's got to be tip down carry. Now, like I said, I'm not huge with Smith and Wesson, but this is actually a pretty cool little knife. I did have someone post saying, oh, that's not practical and that's not going to be useful for outdoors or this or that or an everyday workers, man. And they are correct. That is why it is called the first response for first responders who would need to punch out a car window, cut a seatbelt, cut whatever they need to do while they're on the job of being a first responder. Um, but yeah, so you got your MAGIC. I can't even speak today. Let's just say magic assisted opener switch there, as well as your thumb studs that you can deploy with as well. I think it's a pretty nifty little knife, and I definitely enjoyed speaking about it, telling you guys about it. Let me know what you think though. Please like, subscribe, leave comments, all that jazz. Let your friends know. All that stuff. Hit the little bell thing. I don't know. Let's get this ball rolling. And as always, thank you for joining The Unknown Edge.